G'day guys, spring's here, the yellows are chewing. Today I thought I'd jump down, get behind the camera and do a bit of a tips, tackle and techniques video on golden perch for this spring. Got a bit of an intro vid and then we'll get straight into it, eh?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yep.
Nice.
Another little one there. Looking good. There we go.
Shake that one. Listen to that thing.
Righto guys, so it's spring. As I said, the yellow's starting to chew and everyone's going mad over them at the moment. I myself, you know, I'm a cod fisher through and through. I really only target the yellows in spring. It just happens to be the best time. So the close season for cod coincides with the best season to chase yellows. And that's the only time I seem to do it. I don't really enjoy catching yellowbelly in the trees, which every other season of the year is the best way to target them. I prefer to catch them on the edge, and in spring these fish coming into spawning time for them and they push up on the edge, and that's how I like to fish for them. So going to run you through a few tips, go through my tackle and a few techniques out on the water. I fish Windamere a fair bit. If you've seen my previous videos, plenty of my previous videos, I fish Windamere a lot. Also fish barndong, so they're my two main yellowbelly impoundments, but this type of stuff that I'm going to talk about can be implemented across all the impoundments across New South Wales, Victoria and even up into Queensland. So don't think it's just Windamere related. You can definitely use it at Copeton or Jakko or wherever your local fishery is. So I have been getting a lot of requests about the tackle I use for chasing golden perch. I'm definitely no pro yellowbelly angler by any means. I just do it for a bit of fun. It's good to, after going proper hard all winter chasing cod, it's always good to have a bit of fun chasing yellowbelly. You chase them during the daylight hours, it's definitely a lot easier than cod. So I don't take it too serious, but you know, living so close to Windamere, I do have the luxury of going there a fair bit, and it's not too much of an effort. And you know, Windamere is Australia's premier yellowbelly dam, so I do a fair bit of it through spring. Also help out with the AYC tournaments, as you might have seen. So I get a lot of knowledge from hanging out with all those guys, all those pro guys that do it all the time. They're a lot better anglers than me, but I can pick up a few things off them that I can implement to my social fishing on the weekends. So I'll start with some rods. Basically I use all spin gear mainly for targeting yellowbelly. I've got two rods I'll talk about. First one is the TD0. I'll give you the model. It's this 722 ULS. This is my favourite rod for yellowbelly. I've been using this for the past few seasons, this Daiwa Zero, and absolutely love it. Now, my favourite way to target the golden perch at the moment is using soft lobs and shakens off, and specifically shaking the soft vibes, and this rod is just perfect for it. If you look at the specs on it, it's only meant to cast 1 to 5 grams, and it's a 1 to 3 kilo rod. So a Trans Am or a fish trap, they're more like 20 grams in weight. So it's not actually made for doing it, but just the slower taper of the rod and how much whip you can get into it, I've just found it absolutely perfect for shaking soft vibes on the edge. So this is my go-to rod. I've always got a Trans Am rigged up whenever I'm fishing for yellowbelly in spring, and this is the rod I do it with. So I know there's a lot of guys that have also got into these rods the last few years for chasing yellows, and they all love them. I haven't heard a bad word about them. I did actually cop a bit of a rinsing from a guy on YouTube actually recommending this rod because the specs aren't for using Trans Ams, but you know, when you've used it a fair bit and you know what you're using it for, yeah, you don't listen to those comments. But yeah, you might have to lob the cast out. You know, it's not meant to be casting 20 gram lures. You're not going to rip in, but even just at a 50% cast underarm, you're still going to throw a Trans Am 30-40 meters, and that's all you need to throw it. So that's my number one rod. If you want to get a good rod for chasing yellowbelly, TD0 722 ULS. Match that up with a $2,500 Daiwa Cowdia. Yeah, I've always used Cowdias all my life. I've pretty much had the previous 5 models of Cowdias. This is the latest Cowdia. I love them. They're about $300 range. You don't have to go a reel this nice, but yeah, if you can afford it, go something like this. I've got 2 of them. I've got 2 of these combos, 2 TD0s matched with the Cowdias, and I love them. It's not only a Trans Am rod, you can use it pretty much for everything, but I'm predominantly fishing Trans Ams and fish traps, other soft vibes through spring, so that's what I use it for. The second rod that I use a fair bit, and I've actually been really impressed with this rod. I was talking to Copper the other day, and he rates it as his number 1 rod for yellowbelly as well. So bit of a tick for it, and that is the Daiwa Hyper rod. It's a 701 ULXS. So 7-foot rod, TD Hyper, cheap as chips really. They're about $120, I think. So really not going to break the bank. You can actually get a couple of these for the price of a zero or a price of a more expensive rod. You know, I really don't think you need to be spending stupid amounts of cash when it comes to a rod for yellowbelly, especially when you've got these hypers that are about $120 and they do a bloody good job. Similar to the zero, it's only meant same cast weight, 1 to 5 kilos. It's a 1 to 2 kilo rod. So, you know, if you're going to throw Trans Ams on it, or you're going to throw Mars 5s, fish traps, lob the cast out. Same deal with the zero, but it's just a great tapered rod, really good action for pretty much everything you're going to throw. Now, I have used it, I should say, for the soft vibes and that type of stuff, but I predominantly use it for grubs, so fishing, gulps, the new bait jucking grubs, that type of stuff, different soft plastics on the edge when I'm casting at fish. That's what I like to use it for. But if you're looking for a cheaper alternative to actually throw the soft vibes on, then the zero, definitely check out these hypers. They've got a great action for doing it as well. And when you're actually shaking, you can feel you've got a finger on that blank, and it's real good sensitivity, which is pretty important when you're shaking them. Anyway, I've got that matched up with a $2,500 Daiwa Kicks. Very similar ballpark to the Cowdia. Beautiful reel, no complaints on them. Again, you don't have to go that good. I used to use the Legalis reels, which are about $100, a Daiwa Legalis, and they do the job as well. So you don't have to spend a heap of cash if you want to get into it. If you're on a budget, I'd look at the Hyper rods and something like a Daiwa Legalis reel, and for about $200 you're going to have a pretty good combo. I have done a review on those, on the old model Hyper and the Legalis reel. I've done a review on that previously, and I'll link that in the description below. Now, line's a question I get asked a fair bit. What pound line do you use? Pretty simple. I'm pretty much 8 or 10 pound braid. whatever I've got of them. I've got 2 of these hyper combos, and I've got 2 of the zero combos. And to be honest, I've forgotten what I've got on. I'm just about to change all my lines over to 8 pound, but I've got a few and a fair few spools of 10. So I don't think it matters too much. I don't feel the Yellowbelly are that line shy. If you are fishing a waterway that's super clear, then I would maybe back it back. But on the braid side of things, you're going to be sweet with 8 or 10. Leader, always go for about a rod length or more of 10 pound I've been using for the soft vibes, just because they're a heavier lure on the cast. You don't want to snap them off or anything. And again, I don't think Yellowbelly get too line shy, but when I have found it really tough and I'm using something like a little soft plastic grub or a ZX40, that type of stuff in super clear water, I have gone down to 6 pound before, but most of the time, 10 pound leader, 8 or 10 pound leader will get you out of trouble. If you are finding it really tough and you think the fish are spooky, maybe go down to 6. On the line side of things, again, Daiwa product. I use pretty much all Daiwa stuff, so that's the J Thread fluorocarbon. Love that stuff. That's 12 pound there. Just got a bit of a restock, so we've got 8 and 10. So 8 and 10 pound in that. You know, predominantly going to be using 10, but maybe if I'm fishing grubs and that type of stuff, I'll go to 8 or 6. Righto, we'll talk about lures. Pretty basic. You really only need a handful of lures for targeting Yellowbelly. They're not. They can be hard to catch, but they're not too hard. They're not like a Murray cod where you can have 1,000 things in your boat and still not catch one. You really only need 5 or 6 different lures, and you should be able to fool a few. So I normally just carry the one box around. It's got everything that I need in it. And we'll jump right in, eh? So, as I was saying before, soft vibes are my number one way of targeting these Yellowbelly, especially at Windamere. The last few seasons, shaking soft vibes on the edge has been the gun technique. Now, it's starting to slow down that bite a fair bit, I reckon. Even already this season, I've started to see it slow down. So I reckon there's going to be another technique come in the near future. People are probably already starting to do it and bang fish on it, but I just haven't found it yet. But we've seen over the years, especially at Windamere, you've gone from stuff like deception shrimps way back in the day, you used to brain them, and then the TN60, Jakko TN60 come out, and when people were slow rolling them back in the 05, 06, when the TN60s first come out, they were just putting cricket scores of Yellowbelly in the boat. They started to slow down, and then it was things like blades, ZX40s in particular, in that dark night colour. Man, they smashing fish. You know, growing up as a young fella, that's all I used. I reckon I went 3 or 4 seasons down at Windamere and didn't throw another lure. They were just dynamite. We won the Windamere Classic on them one year. They just caught fish, and then they started to slow down. And I remember a couple of years back, I went out early season and I caught, I think, 1 or 2 fish for the day. And I was talking to another bloke after the session, and he said he got 20 for the afternoon. And I was like, shit, like, the ZX40s aren't working. Asked him what he was doing, and he kindly told me, and it was actually shaking these soft vibes. So Jakko Trans Ams are my favourite, but you've also got the Xeric Fish Trap, you got the Samaki Vibalicious, and 1,000 different eBay cheapo brands do them as well. But they put fish in the boat, especially the last few seasons. There was people that weren't throwing them and they were really struggling. And the guys that knew about the shake and bake technique were really braining them. So you seem to find that with Yellowbelly fishing, especially at Windamere. If you can have the right stuff, but if you're not fishing it the right way, you'll have a tough day. Whereas the guys that have got it tuned in and are using the right lure and the right technique with the lure will actually brain them. And it can be a little bit disheartening. You know, I've been on the wrong end of it a fair few times where I've had really tough days out there, and then people have come to me after and as I said before, caught 20 fish, and you're just like, what the hell? But then I've had plenty of times where I've been on it and catching good fish, and other people have been struggling, and I try to help people as much as possible. I see people out on the water and they're struggling and I'm getting fish, I'll let them know what I'm doing, and I've seen it a fair few times where people just with the smallest thing just weren't retrieving that lure properly, and just getting that shake right will put fish in your boat. So it's pretty pleasing when you give people a few tips like that and they come back with the results. So they're your soft vibes. Now, the first thing you want to do with your soft vibes is take the trebles off them. So if we have a look down here, I've got some fresh Trans-Ams. Obviously, that's how they come. Pair of trebles on them. Whip them straight off. We don't want to fish in with trebles. 2 reasons we don't want to fish in with trebles. The first one is you'll pull a lot of trebles out of the fish's mouth. That's just the thing with trebles, especially with a big yellowbelly and light lines. You're going pretty easy. You can easily pull those trebles out of the fish's mouth, and we find the assist hooks just hold in there, stick those single assist hooks, stay in there a lot better. And the second thing is the assist hooks don't pick up near as much weed as what the trebles do. So especially places like Windamere that have got a lot of weed growth, a lot of snotweed on the edge, you'd want to avoid that as much as possible, because as soon as you get fouled up with weed, it pretty much ruins your cast and you've got to bring it back in. The other thing with weed is in spring, doesn't matter where you're fishing, you want to find weed beds. If you can find weed beds, yellowbelly, that are pushing up on the edge, aren't going to be too far away from that. Your key structures are going to be your weed, your rocky points, your rocky walls and that type of thing, but you've got to have some type of structure. So if you've got weed in your local impoundment that you're going to be fishing, for me it's Windamere, try and fish that weed. But obviously with the trebles, it's going to get fouled up a lot and it can just ruin your cast. So we want to go to assist hooks straight away. What assist hooks do I use? Well, I've got a heap of them here. I get my assist hooks off eBay. So just search on eBay assist hooks if you want to get onto these. I probably wouldn't recommend them. They're cheap as chips. They're about $12 for 10 sets. But if you look at this one up close, this Trans-Am, they don't last very long. So I'm probably only getting a couple of fish per set of assist hooks. They do deteriorate quite quickly. The hook is a BKK hook. The hook's really good, but it's just the way they're put together is cheap and not very good. So I have lost a couple of fish because of it, and generally after a few fish, when I'm trying to get those assist hooks out of the fish that I've caught in the net, they will snap off and stuff. So probably wouldn't recommend going down that way, but that's where I get mine from, just off eBay. The good ones, there's Twin Dancers, just the Eco Gear, the ZX40 replacement hooks work pretty well. I do find them a little bit on the weak side and they do bend a fair bit, so I try to avoid them. Who else does them? Vex Performance Lures do a decent hook, do decent assist hook, so check them out. Who else does them? There's a heap of different brands. BKK just brought one out. They're pretty expensive. I think they're about 11 or 12 bucks for 2 sets, so a bit too dear for those. But yeah, just check them out. I don't know what size these are, but I'll give you a close-up look at them, and that's the size I like to run. Now, I run sets of, I run a set at the front and the back. Legally, I believe it's a bit of a grey area, but I don't know if you're legally allowed to do that. I think you can run a treble on the front and a set of assist hooks on the back. I don't seem to worry. I think Victoria and Queensland, you can run the 2 sets, but don't quote me on it. It's a grey area. I don't actually know the ruling. The thing is, when it does get, if you are fishing really tight to the weed and you are finding you're picking up weed a lot, what I tend to do is I'll go back to just fishing the 1 set of assist hooks on the back of the lure, on the back attachment point. So that'll stop you picking up a fair bit of weed and you'll get a lot more out of your cast. Now, as I was saying, my go-to soft fibre is the Trans-Am, but they do retail for over 30 bucks, so they're not cheap. I've got a good stash of them, so that's why I use them, and I find they work the best. But the Xeric Fish Trap, that one there, they work really good as well. So they're about half the price, and if you're just starting to get into it, I'd actually probably just go the Xeric Fish Trap because they work just as well, I reckon. The only thing with the Trans-Am, I reckon, is they're just a little bit softer, and the fish seem to engulf them a bit better. But I've caught heaps of fish on these Eric fish traps as well. Colours, with all Yellowbelly lures, black is the colour. If it is that effective, black, that much more effective than every other colour, I don't know. I'm starting to really test other colours and I'm having pretty good results. I think the thing with Yellowbelly fishing and the black lures is everyone does it, so everyone catches fish on it, so therefore everyone throws black and more fish get caught on it. I have been using, I've been using wacky colours like pinks and blues and everything, and still catching plenty of Yellowbelly on them. So at a starting point, I'd start with black. Doesn't matter what lure you're using, but do branch out and try different stuff, because especially places that get fogged a lot like Windamere, a lot of pressure, they have seen a lot of black Trans Ams and black ZX40s and black TN60s go past them, so try and change it. Also guys, the Mast Vibe, Jakko Mast Vibe, sort of a bit of a forgotten lure these days. It's been a proven performer on the Yellowbelly for a number of years, so definitely get a couple of them. You can fish them, you can shake them, same as your Trans Ams along the bottom, or you can also do just a slow lift and drop retrieve. I've never been a big user of them, but I've got a lot of mates that use them a fair bit and have had some cracking results on them. So Jakko Mast Vibes, definitely check them out. Next one is the old OG Jakko TN60. So got a couple there. As I said previously, these whacked a lot of Yellowbelly. Cricket scores of Yellowbelly for people going back 10-15 years. They were the go-to lure just on the slow roll. These days they don't get used too much, or not as much, but people still use them, and I still use them a little bit here and there. Where I like to use a TN60 is if I'm finding the fish is suspended mid-water and they're not on the bottom. Now when you're fishing the soft vibes, you're always going to be fishing the bottom, so I will talk about the soft vibe retrieve technique in a minute, but yeah, you're going to be fishing the bottom. So if those fish are suspended, say you're fishing 6 metres of water and those fish are suspended in 3 metres of water, your soft vibe is obviously going to be travelling underneath them, they're not even going to see it. So if you are finding on your sounder that there's a lot of suspended fish, TN60s, great way to catch them. Cast out and just a slow roll at that required depth that the fish are sitting in, pass them out, and you can actually catch a fair few. There was the AYC comp on the weekend, and there was a fair few people actually doing this. They'll find them suspended Yellowbelly in the weed beds or sitting in the weed, and they wanted to roll their TN60s above the weed, and they got some really good fish doing it. So it's an old one, but it still catches a lot of fish. So if you're going to be going out chasing yellows, you've got to have a couple of TN60s in the boat. The next one would be blades, guys. Yellowbelly love blades. As I said previously, my go-to is the ZX40 from Eco Gear. There's a new one that just come out called the Eco Gear ZX43. Haven't tried it yet. Have had mates that have tried it, really liked it, got good fish on it, and I can't see why it wouldn't be just that bit better than a ZX40. A bit bigger profile, bit heavier, so you're maintaining a lot better bottom contact, and it'll actually get through the weed a bit better as well, I reckon. So I'd probably recommend, if you are going to get a few ZX40s, a few blades, don't get the ZX40, maybe look at getting the ZX43. But the ZX40 for a long time now has been slaying the Yellowbelly across a number of impoundments, not only Windamere, but it is a genuine Windamere slayer. The Dark Knight, that black colour with the orange belly, is the go-to. That's what everyone uses, but I've caught them on pretty much every colour in the whole ZX40 range. So you've got to have blades if you're going to Windamere. I don't tend to use them too much anymore, just because they got really flogged and the fish have seen a lot of them. But I know a lot of people that this is still their go-to lure, and they still catch a lot of good fish. So definitely have a couple of them if you're going out on the water, especially to Windamere. The approach with them is basically just a slow lift and pause, and give it a decent pause. I'd say 8 out of 10 fish on a ZX40 will actually come on the pause, where that fish will just hover over it and think about it, and then just slurp it in, and all you'll feel is a tick in the line. Similar to if you're fishing for brim with plastics, you just feel a tick in the line, and that's the fish just slurping in. You just give him a strike, and you're on. So just slow pop, just real slow pops off the bottom. Let it get to bottom, and just slow pops, and decent pauses. 5 to 10 second pauses. Now the thing with all these, I don't have any on me at the moment. I think I left it in Bruce's boat on the weekend. But the thing with every lure, and probably the number one tip I can give anyone for going yellowbelly fishing, is scent. Scent is key. Yellowbelly love scent. In my opinion, people might have different opinions, but it's the number one thing, in my opinion. You've got to have scent on your lure. There's been so many times that I have struggled for a couple of hours, no hits, reapplied scent, first cast, bang. It's, scent with fishing, I think it's so important. I've been trying to experiment with cod fishing, how important it is, and it's very hard to gauge, with cod fishing, if scent makes a difference, because you're just not catching that many fish to actually, statistically quantify or make judgment if the scent is making a difference. But I've caught enough yellowbelly now to have a pretty good idea and a pretty good guess that the scent definitely makes a difference. Now, when it comes to scent, again, there's 1,000 different scents out there these days. My go-to is the S Factor. You can get in the tubes, those tubes you can buy. Get one of them and just lather your lures up. The thing with S Factor is it also has UV in it, and UV is another key thing when it comes to yellowbelly fishing. They love UV, they love scent, and S Factor's both. So check that out. And the last lure, guys, is soft plastics. So most of the time you'd think about soft plastics with yellowbelly, you're thinking about grubbing trees, going up and down trees, but they're actually really effective on the edge, and it's starting to become a really effective technique, is actually shaking a soft plastic on the edge the same as you would a soft vibe. So gulp, I don't have any gulp in my tackle box at the moment because I've been using the new Dollar bait junkies a fair bit, but Berkeley gulp, 3-inch grubs, tried and tested. They've won so many AYC fishing comps over the years. They catch yellowbelly, flat biscuit, not only in the trees but on the edge. So that's where I'd start, but I will give you a look at the new bait junkies. Obviously another Dollar product. I've been testing these out on the yellows this season so far. Pretty good results. Really happy with them. Caught some good fish. That is a 2.5-inch grub. So, black again. Black seems to work. We've got a copper flash there. I've tried a number of different colours in the bait junkies already and caught fish on them. But, again, going back to black, everyone uses black. It's a confidence colour. So, definitely, if I could recommend getting 1 pack of grubs, get black, and check the bait junkies out. But if you want to play it safe and you don't know just yet, go the Berkeley Gulp, the 3-inch minnow grub. They work so well. So yeah, also got some Yabby imitations, different things. Different things work over the years. I've tried heaps of different stuff, but you really only need to, I reckon you really need to stay in those 5 to 6 different lure ranges to be able to catch fish in spring. Righto, I will quickly talk about the shaking technique. So I have done another video on it for fishing transams. If you haven't seen it, I'll leave it linked in the description below. But I'll give it a quick once over again here. Shaking technique, get your rod, you want to achieve depth, get that lure on the bottom, and then it's just a shake, and a slow wind of the reel. You got to really flex your forearm, and then you got to pause to let it rest. So shake. Now my idea of it, people do it differently. Some people give it a real vigorous shake and get it right off the bottom, but my idea and how I like to do it is slow wind, so I'm not coming too far off the bottom. I want that soft vibe or the soft plastic or whatever I'm shaking, doesn't matter what it is, to be pretty close to the bottom, because what you're trying to imitate is a yabby or a shrimp along those lines, and they don't come too far off the bottom. They do shoot up a bit, but I find if you just shake it just a couple of inches off the bottom, it looks a lot more natural than shooting right up like on big lift and shaking like crazy and winding fast. So shake it, nice and consistent shake with a really slow wind, and just crawl it just above the bottom, and then pause, and then crawl it just above the bottom. And when the fish are on, they will crunch it while you're shaking it. So, you know, plenty of scent, again, as I said, and definitely try that technique. If you're going to Windamere, or if you're going anywhere in spring to chase yellowbelly on the edge, can't recommend the shaking technique enough. Righto guys, we're going to wrap it up there. I finished talking, but I jumped behind the camera and actually gone for longer than 30 minutes, so you didn't catch what I said at the end there, but it was all gibberish, so don't worry too much. I've got dinner ready, so I need to go in and eat, but, you know, try all that stuff that I've said. You know, I'm not a genius at this, I don't try to be, but it's just, this is the stuff that I've found works for me. I've had success on it in the past. I wouldn't bullshit about anything, you know. In all the AYC comps, these lures that I've shown you, pretty much that's all the guys use. There's not too much out of the ordinary when it comes to yellowbelly fishing. In saying that, you know, fish do wise up to it, and we've seen trends in Windamere with the TN60, the ZX40, and now the Trans Am, the shaking the Trans Am. And I'm starting to see it really slow down, that bite, that Trans Am, shaking Trans Am bite starting to slow down. So definitely look outside the box, try and stay on top of things. I'm going to be trying different things this spring, trying to find that next trend. But if you want to just get out there, have a bit of fun and try and catch a few fish, look at those lures, you know, ZX40s, TN60s, Trans Ams, or fish traps, or any soft fire from eBay, wherever you want to get them from. And plastics, so gulps or the new bait junkies, or some type of grub or crawfish pattern. Yeah, stick with them, and you should be able to find a few. If you are going out to Windamere and struggling, give us a message, and I will try and help you guys on Instagram as much as I can. You know, as I said, no pro angler, but I have fished it enough to know a little bit about what's going on out there. So I'm always happy to help anyone. But yeah, I'm going to have to wrap it up there. I've been talking for way too long. If you think I've been talking for too long, let me know in the comments. If you think it was helpful, also let us know. Always appreciate a bit of feedback. Doesn't have to be good feedback. If you think I'm talking shit, let me know. But yeah, I'm just trying to speak from experience and help you guys out as much as possible. So yeah, give her a like if you enjoyed it. If not, give her a thumbs down. Anyway guys, we'll see you in the next one. Appreciate you watching, and hope I could help a few people that are going out chasing yellowbelly this spring. Cheers guys.